Jai Adbhuta Chandra Jai Guru Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nanda. Jai Adbhuta Chandra Jaya Guru Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jai Adbhuta Chandra Jaya Guru Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, so we are discussing Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now we are starting the chapter 4. Last time we discussed the summary. So is anyone remembering what was discussed? Oh, wait 1 second. Okay, Gaurav, how do you not hear? What is?
I hear your lecture.
Who? Okay, anyway. Who put it on mute? Okay, hello. Who's saying?
Krishna is two birds are sitting on the same branch. Krishna is next to us.
No, give me the main points we discussed last time. What were the main
points? That Krishna expands in innumerable form as the devotee wants. Like,
okay.
As the devotee likes.
Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yes. Like Prahlad Maharaj. Of Krishna you gave example. And like of Hanuman. Hanuman is devoted to Lord Rama. So he is devoted to Lord Ram, not to Lord Krishna. So he expands, Krishna expands in innumerable forms.
Okay, what were the main points discussed last time?
Main points and
no, wait a second, somebody else.
Internal reason for the appearance of Chaitanya.
Okay, eternal reasons for appearance of Chaitanya. That was the main discussion. Okay.
Difference between Tattva and Rasa.
Okay, we talked about difference between Tattva and Rasa. Okay.
Knowledge and Rasa is experience. So Rasa is better.
Okay, who remembers the reasons? Okay, no.
First reason, internal reason was Krishna wanted to know the position.
Okay, first one was Krishna wanted to understand position of Srimati Radharani. Second? Yes. Attraction. Why? How come she is so attracted? And then last one? Yes. No, wait. Now you're mixing. That's an external reason. Third is internal reason. Bliss. Okay, what is that bliss? That she is experiencing by being attracted within her position. It's similar. I mean, it's kind of, you may say, connected, synonymous in some ways, but it's not the same thing. It's a difference. So position, attraction, and then the bliss, which is the right. Okay, so this is what is going to be discussed in this chapter. So we're going to start reading text 1. Okay, let's speak Bengali. Okay, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even a foolish child can fully describe the real nature of Lord Krishna, the enjoyer of the pastimes of Raja. According to the vision of the revealed scriptures, report. One can ascertain the meaning of this Sanskrit shloka only when one is endowed with the causeless mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Shri Krishna, being the absolute personality of Godhead, cannot be exposed to the mundane instruments of vision. He deserves the right not to be exposed by the intellectual feats of known devotees. Notwithstanding this truth, even a small child can easily understand Lord Shri Krishna and his transcendental pastimes in the land of Vrindavan by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Om Jnana Timirandasya Kinajana Chakshunamritam Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Shimla Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Deva Krishna Vishesha Shri Vishnu Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shiva Gadadhar Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. Okay, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even a foolish child can fully describe the real nature of Lord Krishna, enjoy the pastimes of Raja according to the vision of the revealed scriptures. So, we hear quite often in relationship to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes that if somebody doesn't worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he cannot understand Radha and Krishna. So if you don't know about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you don't worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we cannot know about Radha and Krishna. This is a very strong statement now. Any questions about it? You can't know about Radha and Krishna. Now, you will say many people, they worship Radha and Krishna. So how can they don't know? They don't know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are even some stronger statements which I won't state now. If you don't know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then what kind of so-called knowing of Radha Krishna that is? Or they might be knowing of Radha and Krishna. But what does that mean? Can anyone guess? Anyone had heard anything earlier? No, I'm asking too much. I guess that's... Because many people do worship, they don't know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They don't know so much about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was not so much present, especially up northwest regions of India. He went through, but he didn't preach so much there. So then, what would that mean? Because people do worship Radha and Krishna. Anyway, all of those subjects are deep subjects. All of those subjects are intimate subjects. So, what can we do? We can at least mention them. We will not discuss them in depth, but we will just mention them. So, without knowing of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we cannot understand Krishna. Because this is the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. He came to relish the position of Srimati Radharani. As we heard, those three internal reasons: position, attraction, bliss. But one of the external reasons of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance is to act as a devotee, teach us how to be a devotees. But now devotees of whom? So that's something that also has to become clear. It's not just Radha and Krishna worship. Of course, that's pretty close, but it's not the same. Because many times Radha and Krishna are worshipped also in different mood. What is the mood that Radha and Krishna could be worshipped? There's Acharyas say there is something known as Vaikuntha Vrindavan, Vaikuntha Goloka. So Vaikuntha Goloka, it's not Vraja Goloka. I mean, spiritual world, there are innumerable realms. And it can be, and they're unlimited, and so many things can be going on. So what also can be going on and is going on is that Radha and Krishna are worshipped in the mood of Vaikuntha. They're seated on a very amazing, you can't even imagine what kind of a throne that is. And they're being worshipped just like Lakshmi and Narayan. And many times we hear about certain pastimes in Puranas which describe that kind of mood, that kind of worship, but has nothing to do with what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to teach us. It is Radha and Krishna, but it's not Vraja Radha and Krishna. Vraja Radha and Krishna are much more intimate dealings and pastimes. Much more sweeter, much more, of course, attractive to those who are in that kind of line. More madhurya, rasa line. So, real essence of Radha and Krishna cannot be understood without Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is what is the point. We can't understand it. I mean, if we take Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now we can compare because we know. Otherwise, if we wouldn't know, we wouldn't have mind, we wouldn't be even able, of course, to compare. But now we can see what an incredible mercy Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has presented, has given to all of us. How much more detailed, intimate, and closer to Krishna that is. Because what means worship? Worship means I worship, there's some distance, right? There's not much closeness there. As an object of worship and the worshipper, and there is kind of master and servant, that's not so close. That's not so close. But Radha Krishna, there's no worship there. If there is, it's a whole different concept. Any offering going on or whatever, it's a whole different thing. It's so much more closer. It's all prevailed. It's all surcharged with that mellow of Madhurya. So this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to present. This is what he came to give, and that's that kind of aspect of Radha and Krishna, their relationship, and approach of those devotees who are their devotees, towards that kind of relationship. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. So this is something that can't be understood without Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is his special mercies, presenting such an intimate aspect of Radha and Krishna. So that's even when we talk about Radha and Krishna. Of course, other features, other expansions, Lakshmi Narayan, Krishna and the queens in Dwarka, that's also Krishna and worship of Krishna and everything. But it's not what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so much interested in. That's not what he came to present. This is mostly how people know Krishna. Vital Rukmini or something. That's okay, but that's not Raja. That's not Raja Krishna. I've been to Kolhapur a few times, but there is one place they say, I couldn't trace it, that's why I'm a little bit still puzzled that what is the real source of that history, let's put it this way, to give some credentials to it, authenticity. There is one place called Gokul Dham, a little bit south of Kolhapur. Of course, Kolhapur is famous for Mahalakshmi. And they said there's a little, it's not a river, it's kind of stream, or it's like and then they said there are footprints of Krishna in the stone there. And that Vasudeva and Devaki at that place requested Krishna to show them some childhood pastimes. They were missing on those pastimes, so that Krishna showed them. I said it was in Harivamsha Purana. I was looking and searching, I couldn't find that. So it's still a matter of research anyway. So childhood pastimes are pastimes exhibited in Braja also. It's not in Dwarka. So Vasudeva and Devaki were kind of curious about those pastimes. So they're very also intimate pastimes, very, very deep pastimes. And they're very definitely attractive pastimes. So none of those also, it's not just the Madhurya aspect, that even those cannot be really understood without mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, unless we enter into the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which he exhibited. And another interesting discussion, we see that how did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu acted? He didn't act it whimsically. He didn't act it like sahaj. What means sahaj? No? Cheap or light. That's why the word sahajya comes from. Somebody who takes things like that, cheaply, lightly. No? So he didn't present something so cheap and light. He acted in the mood of actually dasya, in the dasya rasa. He presented the highest Madhurya rasa, but he acted in the mood of dasya rasa. So that might be a little bit puzzling. Now, what is going on here? That we are supposed to act in that mood to obtain our original position. That means we have to become purified. We cannot just jump immediately acting or imitating That's very dangerous in spiritual life. So we have to act in the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That means being subservient to all the rules, to all the principles, to all the different relationships, following the Vaishnava etiquette, following even the social etiquette. That's all what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. And of course, in the later years, he was just, he was exhibiting in Antya Lila all the ecstatic symptoms, but that was at the end. Externally, internally, it was always going on. But he came to show us, to teach us how we have to observe everything strictly, everything very, very meticulously. Then once being purified and becoming qualified, then one can enter into these deeper pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So it's not cheap. So all of this can be understood. That means so that intimate dealings of Raja Krishna, and Raja Krishna is the real Krishna. All the other Krishnas are expansions of Vraja Krishna. When we talk about Krishna or Radha and Krishna, we talk about Vraja Krishna. He never goes out of Vrindavan. And he's fully in the mood of Madhurya. All the other expansions, then that's slightly different rasa, or even more different rasa. It depends. Might be tinged with that feeling of awe and reverence, Vaikuntha mood. So that is different. So here, therefore, it is said, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, even a foolish child can describe the real nature of Krishna. So even a foolish child, like this morning we were hearing Srila Prabhupada's class, said, we may be fools and rascals, Prabhupada said, but if we repeat what our acharyas stated, or whatever Krishna had stated, we just repeat it. He gave example, just like a child can quote his father. Father says this is whatever table, and the child says this is table. So child can be foolish and ignorant, whatever it might be, but if he states whatever his father stated, just repeats what he said it correctly. Now, it's a correct thing, and it should be accepted as such. So no matter what our position is, which we of course strive to overcome and purify and elevate, if we just repeat whatever Krishna has said, that is perfect. And this is all what we have to do. So in that sense also, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching, we just repeat what it is. Ultimately if we follow upon it, we are going to realize that also. We just have to repeat it as it is, without any additions or subtractions. It just has to be perfectly presented, as given in Guru Parampara. So then even the foolish child can describe the nature of Krishna. There was that little girl, Saraswati, as the daughter of Shyamasundar and Malati. So whenever anyone would ask, she would talk about Krishna. We were just a young girl, and she also came here to Mumbai when Prabhupada first mandal was there in early 70s. And then people would ask, who is Krishna? Who is Krishna? And then Prabhupada would say, you just ask Saraswati, just ask her, and she would reply. So Prabhupada would say, you see, even she knows who is Krishna. She knows, she can tell who is Krishna. Krishna is God, Krishna is Bhagavan. No? So even a child can make an absolute statement, which comes, of course, in the line of disciplic succession. So by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even one who is on that kind of, we may say, immature or not educated, or whatever kind of level, low level, but if one just repeats what is perfect, then that statement will be perfect also. And of course, by such following, then one can also understand. One can also come to understand. So here is that even a foolish child can fully describe the real nature of Krishna. So if you just repeat what is given, what is authorized. So that's something that is unique. So Srila Prabhupada pointed out in the purport, he says, one can ascertain the meaning of this Sanskrit shloka only when one is endowed with the causeless mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So we have to get mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Now, the question is, We may, first of all, it's not easy. That's also another thing. Many times it's not just easy to repeat what we are supposed to repeat. Because we do have a tendency, right? To mold, to add something, to twist, to somehow distort. It's always a tendency. You always want to give some masala, something. No? That's a tendency. Very serious, wrong tendency. So then what does one do? Then how to correct that tendency? How to make things, like they have that game, no? I saw once a funny one. Somebody showed me, just kind of like a clip. They have more than 40 people in line, and they start with one, and they tell him something to act in some way, no? And then he's supposed to pass to someone ahead. And at the end, it comes completely from funny stuff, even in the middle or whatever. They completely messed it up. So that's the tendency. Everybody has, just some nature to speculate like this. So even just to pass things as they are, that's not easy. That's not easy because we are influenced by the modes and we tend to purport whatever we are coming in touch with. So that's not easy. That's to curb this, to somehow correct this, to really, it's not easy. It's not easy. One has to become purified. So that's why we have Bhagavad Gita as it is, because that's how Krishna gave it. So you're not supposed to, subtract. You're not supposed to add. You're supposed to present it as it is. So it's not easy. So one has to become purified from all these urges and pushes and tendencies to speculate. So that's a big challenge. That's in the beginning of the spiritual life. But this has to be done. There's no shortcut. There's no way out. One has to do this. Then one can, that's also part of the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then one receives that mercy, and then one can appropriately receive again the teaching and then present the teaching. That's why it's important that teaching comes in Guru Parampara, where there are no such kind of distractions, distortions. When things are very clear, it's just given as it is. When it's given as it is, then it will have the effect as it should be. Otherwise, it will not. So it's not easy. So then one will, of course, understand things by causeless mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Just accepting it. It's because many times we receive something, we receive information, we receive knowledge, whatever, and then our mind, it's just amazing. Our mind doesn't want to accept it. Do you ever have that experience? No, how can it be? It's not possible. It should maybe like this, maybe like that, maybe. It's amazing what our mind does to us. I'm sure you can think of so many instances. Sometimes, somebody tells you this is like it is, you receive some news, whatever, this, whatever it might be. So many examples. And then your mind, no, how is that possible? No. Just see. That's that tendency of the conditioned mind. So when we receive something in Guru Parampara, in disciplic succession, then it's a real accomplishment actually to accept it like that and then even pass it further on like that. That's really what spiritual life then is. Spiritual life begins. Because then when information is received in its pure form and then transmitted as such, then it has the same potency. Then like I gave that example, then it doesn't matter, even a small child or whoever, it doesn't matter who states it, it will have the same effect. Yeah, it will have the same effect because it's perfect knowledge. But then, like here, Srila Prabhupada points out, that means somebody is endowed with causeless mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Now what does that mean, causeless mercy? Does it just... That's a big another discussion. What means causeless mercy? Of course, that means without a cause. There's nothing that, in essence, what it means, there is nothing that you can deserve it, to get it. You can't do anything to receive it. There's nothing now, you're going to make some endeavor and now I'm going to get a causeless mercy or this and that. There's nothing like that. You can't do that. No? It's causeless, but still, causeless means you have to, somehow or other, you have to become recipient. You have to become recipient. You can't be a rusty object. No, rusty object is very bad conductor. No, you have to purify the rust. At least that much you have to do. So, or like causeless. Another example would be rain. Rain falls on the ocean also now. Know how much rain is wasted? Falls back in the ocean directly. Or it falls on rocks, falls here. It's not where it's supposed to. That's like causeless. And so, yes, causeless mercy is available. But one thing is important. You have to make yourself available. No? You have to make yourself available. You have to, at least you have to have some maybe desire. Maybe you get some agyata, sukriti, that's also there, but at least some desire. Another example, like let's say you want sunshine, but you're always in the closed house. You're keeping windows shut or whatever, doors closed, whatever. So you're going to get some sunshine? No, it's not going to work. You have to open the door or you have to get out. You have to make yourself available. So mercy is available. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, without discrimination, is presenting and giving this most, inconceivable jewel of intimate relationship between Radha and Krishna without any qualification. Anything intimate, how qualified one should be to enter into any kind of intimate setting or dealings. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just making it freely available. But it's not freely available. That's why, again, Bhagavad Gita, it's an open secret. What does that mean, open secret? It is a secret. It remains a secret for those who are demons. It's open. It's available. You have demoniac mentality, you won't get anything out of it. Same thing with Chaitanya Charitamrita. Same thing with pastimes of Krishna. One has to qualify like this. One has to make oneself available. Then it will be understood. So mercy is there, everything is there, but we do have to have some desire. We have to make ourselves available. So it's all causeless, but still, that cause will have an effect. Let's say again, like the rain will, the essence of rain, the nourishment of rain or benefit of rain will be felt when it falls on something that it's that can benefit from that, or that wants to benefit from that. That can be nourished by the rain. But if you're like a rock or something, and it's going to take a long time. But also, even rocks sometimes. Just somebody pointed to me. What was it? We were down in the garden and something, and then in one building there is one plant growing, out of bricks. It's like you see that also. So even in that case, when rain falls, you see there's something will happen. Something will be growing, some benefit. So one has to make oneself available. So that is mercy. So now how to get that mercy? How to get that mercy? How to make oneself available? What do you think? What should be done? I can tell you a lot of things that you could do. A lot of things can be done. But okay, who can tell me what's the best way to get Lord Chaitanya's mercy? What's the best way? What's the fastest? If you give me a wrong answer now, wait a second. There's a warning. You give me a wrong answer. Yeah, you give me a wrong answer, then there's going to be trouble. Then you will have to sponsor cake for next Wednesday for everybody here. It's like Maha cake. Okay, who is raising hand now? So what's the best way to get mercy of Lord Chaitanya? Are you sure? Ready?
Online people are also raising hands.
Online people, okay. So that's, let me calculate. I think now they raised a little bit, it's about 1,200 rupees, one tray. I think that should be sufficient. Okay, let me see online. But those who raise the hand, they can write in the chat box. And they may be exempted from this requirement of making it up for the wrong answer. So I won't disclose to others. I'll just read it here in the chat. That's better. Okay, you can say. You can try. You can't miss too much. Just to encourage all of you a little bit. There might be some good answers. Maybe not the perfect one, but you get some credit.
Best of three.
Okay, that's wrong one. One tray. Next Wednesday or something. Haribo for Akrishna. Thank you, very nice. Okay, next one.
By chanting.
By chanting. By chanting. Well, you're reciprocating with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions. Okay, to some extent I'll agree, but it's not really the best. It's good. Okay. Om, you sure? Okay, students are exempted.
Some more messages are there.
Pleasing the devotees. Okay. Desire. What kind of desire? Submissively chanting and hearing Harinam, becoming devotees of devotees. Okay, 1 second. Lord Nityananda. Nityananda Sankirtan. Okay, let's hear here.
Humility.
Humility, what humility? What's the use of humility? Humility, but then what's the point of humility? What does that mean, humility? Bolo. Yeah.
I was going to say serving the devotees.
Serving the devotees. Okay. Huh? You sure? Yeah.
Surrender to Lord Krishna.
Surrender. Okay. Anyway. Huh?
Being disciple succession and followed by Guru Sadhu.
Wrong answer. I'll talk to you later. Yes. It's not.
Helping people in their bad times.
Huh?
Helping people in their bad times.
Okay. Huh?
Association of advanced people.
No, that's okay. But that's okay. Here we had some answers. Basically, it's okay. Sankirtan, pleasing devotees, serving devotees, but Sankirtan mostly giving this to others. That's the whole point. The more mercy you give, the more you will receive yourself. That's spiritual life. That's the essence. That is the essence. Akash Raj, don't comment anything now, but don't disturb now. So this is the essence. So to get the mercy, you have to give the mercy. The more you give, the more you'll get. That's a spiritual principle. It's not like material. The more you give, the less you have. It's a spiritual principle. The more you give, the more you will receive yourself. And what to give? Of course, the holy name. That's the most powerful process. That's the most powerful method. Like Srila Prabhupada would say, of reviving our dormant Krishna consciousness, not just our and everybody else's. So the more we give, the more we will get. So even initially, this is what it said, that, okay, I don't know what is holy name. I don't know what is this Krishna consciousness. I don't know anything. It doesn't, interestingly, it doesn't matter. You don't have to know. Prabhupada said, you just be like a postman. Just take something and deliver it. That it's enough. And then interestingly, even if one does that in the course of time, like here it said, even child, one can ascertain the meaning, one will be endowed with the causeless mercy. Foolish child can describe the real nature of Krishna. In the course of time, definitely when one gets purified and receives enough mercy, by becoming purified, then one will understand. But initially, one doesn't have to understand. One can just keep on chanting holy name, and it will have its effect. Like Srila Prabhupada said, you don't have to know how the medicine works. It doesn't matter. You just take the medicine, it will have its effect. So holy name, in that sense, we can use this analogy. You don't have to know about the holy name. Then you don't even have to know about Krishna. But you just give the Krishna. You just give Krishna. You give Krishna, and then you will receive so much Krishna. You will understand. So that is incredible mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Okay, now we're getting some distractions. What's going on? Anyway. Govinda. So that's the causeless mercy. The more we give, the more we will receive ourselves. Okay, I suggest maybe any questions or comments on this? Just to yes.
We should not give it is a now give the holy name who are faithless.
Can you just repeat again? I can't hear.
We cannot give the holy name to the faithless. So
Okay, we cannot give holy name to the faithless. Okay.
So how will we know if we are distributing holy name who is faithless?
Okay, how will we know? We don't have to know. The instruction is to talk about intimate pastimes of Krishna, not about holy name. Holy name can be distributed everywhere to anyone. That's the point. So there is no restriction on that. Restriction is on intimate pastimes. You don't discuss intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna to someone who is faithless. It's just like feeding, milk. Snake the milk. No, that's what's an offense. So that intimate, that word is very important, because otherwise you would never do anything. Like in the West, there are some religions and traditions that name it so holy so that you can't even speak it out. It's spoken only once a year at a particular whatever occasion, behind the curtain, kind of, so to say. It's so holy. It is holy. We don't say holy name, it's not holy. It is a holy name. But it's not that it can't be spoken, because then there is another danger there, that if that would kind of point that the holy name can become contaminated or something. No? Can holy name become contaminated by anything or anyone? No, it's absolute. So then why it wouldn't be known or distributed? Yeah. That's why even many times in the West, people don't even know what's the real name of God. So it's just generic name, God. Or Yahweh or something. It's indirect, it's not direct, it's not personal. So then what it is, of course there are, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But in general, it's like, oh, it's so distant. God, it's so far away. So that's not what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. That's why he came. He came to give something so close, so intimate, so direct, so personal. And without any restriction, just everybody can chant Hare Krishna. The greatest demons can start chanting Hare Krishna Mama. It doesn't matter, let them chant. Even while mocking the devotees or something, even while joking, even while criticizing, even in that sense, it doesn't matter. They can chant the holy names. Why devotees go out in Harinam and Sankirtan, chanting everywhere? Everybody's hearing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I can think of so many instances when so many people said Hare Krishna, which they would never say Hare Krishna, or they were like really inimical, and they would say Hare Krishna, or whatever. So many instances, okay, we talk about Chaitanya Charitamrita, even anybody knows who was the person who came to Kazi, who said, you also please chant Hare Krishna, so much bliss in the chanting of these holy names and so much mercy. And who was the one who came to ask? Yes. Gadadhar Das, yes. And just imagine, you go to Kazi and you're telling him, you chant Hare Krishna mantra, And he was telling, you're just like my uncle. Why don't you chant this Hare Krishna so much? He was so blissful. It was like completely, he didn't care, it was completely transcendental. Yeah. And Kazi was shocked. How dared he? It's like, but he was in such an ecstasy and such a bliss by chanting the Hare Krishna. Then Kazi said, yeah, okay, I will chant Hare Krishna tomorrow. And I said, why tomorrow? You just did it right now. Hare Bol, and he went. It's like so he made him chant also Hare Krishna Mantra. So Hare Krishna can be chanted. There are no restrictions. Chaitanya, even in an unclean place, any time, any circumstance, there are no restrictions. So you can't contaminate the holy name. It doesn't matter. That's the potency of the holy name. But the restriction is on intimate pastimes of Krishna. That's something that somebody will not understand and can very much misuse. That's a different thing. So it's not the holy name, it's about intimate. Okay? Any other question? Okay, so let's read the rest of the purport. Srila Prabhupada continues saying, Lord Sri Krishna is being the absolute personality of Godhead and not be exposed to the mundane instruments of vision. Okay, so we can't see Krishna. It's not like, we can demand Krishna to appear, and we want to perceive everything but by our mundane eyes. How limited our eyes are. How far can you see? How good can you see? And we want to see Krishna. Atashi Krishna Nama Adi Napavid Gramindriya Seva Mukha Hijivadao Swayameva Spuratyada. By our mundane senses, we cannot perceive something that is transcendental. So then how can we demand? What is the power of our perception? We want to see Krishna, and we demand Krishna to reveal himself to us. But then who are we? You're demanding Krishna to you. You can't see the governor of Mumbai if you demand like this. What is now you want to see Krishna? You come and dance in front of me or something. What is our position? First, we have to qualify. What it means seeing? Seeing means hearing. That's why darshan. Darshan means hearing. So seeing by hearing, seeing by knowledge, by understanding. That is the real seeing. So then when one becomes qualified like this, one becomes real recipient of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. And then one will see Krishna. Because we know when we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, what is it said? How does Krishna manifest? Krishna is not different than his holy name. Krishna is his holy name. So when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So when we chant purely the holy name, hopefully purely and more purely and completely purely, when we come over the Namabhasa stage, stage of chanting with offenses, then what happens? We are chanting that holy name, and this is very interesting within the potency of the sound, how the different manifestations are there according to the quality of chanting, what one can perceive. So then first it's the name, but then one realizes Nama, Guna, Rupa, Guna, Lila. That's the sequence. So one starts understanding the form and qualities, and then one enters even into the pastimes of Krishna. That's how Krishna reveals himself. But then one has to be sincere. Would you reveal yourself, your intimate anything to everybody? You really like to be, now you say something and then, you find it's all over internet, everybody knows about it. Is that how things work? No. But then why wouldn't Krishna reserve the right also that his intimate relationship he keeps confidential? No. So you wouldn't like your own something, to be exposed to anyone. For what? Why? So that just people take pleasure criticizing and mocking and joking about it? No, nobody will do that unless somebody is qualified. So when we qualify, then Krishna reveals himself. And then again, how to qualify? By giving this mercy. giving more and more mercy. So if you can place, I think that's the major discussion that we should be talking today. I mean, how to get that mercy? Because if you get that mercy, then you will understand this discussion. Otherwise, you won't. We're just wasting time. We're just talking about Krishna this, Krishna that. But you'll never understand it unless you apply yourself within the process. You utilize that process. You start giving that mercy. You start telling people, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We have a very nice service down there. Right? Some of you just came from the help desk, chanted maybe some rounds, just asking people, please chant Hare Krishna. You want to receive mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but that's what he asks us to do. Give that mercy to others. The more we give, the more we will receive. And the more we ask people to chant, the more we ask people to participate serving Krishna in so many different kinds of ways. There's no limit to our growth in spiritual life. So somehow or other we have to start doing something about it. It's not just, okay, some entertaining whatever, hearing some entertaining discussions, or maybe they're not entertaining, whatever we might be thinking. That's not going to help us much. That's not the purpose of any of this that we are having here in the Hare Krishna life. The real purpose is to get that absolute bliss, absolute taste by involving ourselves in the service of Guru and Krishna. Then one can understand. Then one can have everything. What is the greater entertainment than the pastimes of Radha and Krishna? Who can imitate that? Who can replicate that? People don't even know about it. It's just, of course, everybody nowadays thinks what is the most entertaining, like in Bollywood, some girls and boys pastimes and this and that and stuff. No, everybody's interested in this. No. Well, but who is the original one? It's Radha and Krishna. That's the purest form. That's the absolute form. That's the most powerful form. So why would we want to be interested in being entertained by something that is such a pale, perverted reflection of the original substance? That's what we're discussing here. You want the key, you want understanding to that, you want to enter into those pastimes, well then, show some mercy. Show some mercy to others who are in such illusion, thinking that those other pastimes are very nice and attractive, which is all terrible anyway. It's just, as we said, perverted at best. Yeah. So then we have to give that mercy. We have to give this holy name, and this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his only request is, he said, please help me in this mission. That's all. To assist him in this mission, because his only headache is that he wants to give it as much as possible. So if we help him in this, then just see how much mercy we will receive. Of course, he doesn't need help, but we need help. And we receive help by at least acting upon instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Krishna reserves the right to be exposed by the intellectual, not to be exposed by the intellectual feats of non-devotees. So Krishna is not manifested to those who are not devoted to him. It's not manifested. Why? Why would he? Notwithstanding this truth, even a small child can easily understand Lord Shri Krishna and his transcendental pastimes in the land of Vrindavan by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's why we said in the beginning that these intimate pastimes can be fully understood by practically anyone who applies itself to this process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and actually distributes and gives this to everybody else without any reservation. Okay, we'll stop here. Any questions?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Yes. Regarding the point about the tendency of the mind to speculate while one is actually giving the mercy, because the material mind may not be actually able to give the mercy and may speculate in giving the mercy. I could not follow that clearly. Could you?
Because material mind is contaminated. Pure bhakti is not contaminated, even by jnana, even by karma, by anything practically. What to speak of material mind, even which is contaminated by kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. So once anything pure passes to such practically contaminated mind, it remains the pure, but then those impurities of the mind are added to that, what is pure. And then what one may receive, it's also filled with so many impurities of all these anarthas. So therefore, mind has to be as pure as possible. That's what we understand in the spiritual mind and in the spiritual practice, that when mind is pure, then that transmission of knowledge also becomes pure and has greater effect. No, just like any conductivity. When there is a pure conductor, let's say the copper is pretty good, or what else can be, it's like when there are no impurities, then that conductivity is very effective, But if there are impurities, then it's going to be a problem. So we know when somebody chants Hare Krishna, but his heart is not pure, there's some problem with it. It doesn't have such an effect. It doesn't have such an effect on others. It doesn't still have such an effect on him, himself. But in due course of time, definitely one will become purified. In due course of time, one will be able to affect the others. We know when somebody, some pure soul, some spiritual master or whatever, somebody who's really, blessed and is practicing Krishna consciousness for a while and a lot of, let's say quite some time. And when they speak, they immediately it has an effect on someone's heart. Let's say you read just this book. Let's say Prabhupada, let's give example of Srila Prabhupada, his purity, his potency. He wrote these books. And he wrote it in such a way, when you read this book, you develop desire to surrender to Krishna. That's the potency. That's the purity. To makes you active, to makes you do something, to become convinced like this just by reading something. That's incredible potency. If you write people a letter or something, of course there are different reactions, and you affect them in so many ways. But can you affect someone to surrender their life fully for some particular cause? What kind of potency that has to be? That comes with purity. That's Krishna's potency, but that comes with purity. So if mind is contaminated with so many other, so many anarthas and so many other things, then it won't be so effective. So that's why we have to purify the mind. And of course, the best purification is continue chanting Maha Mantra, because mantra, man and tra to deliver. So Maha Mantra. So we keep on chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, and make everybody else chant. I'm trying to make you chant now, so I also get some mercy. Yeah, is that okay?
Yes. And another point I also would like to clarify, I'm not understanding is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood is the Dasya mood.
No, his mood is Madhurya, but he's acting on the level of Dasya. He's the servant, Gopipada, Kamalayor Dasa, Dasa, Anudasa. He's everyone's servant. That's the mood.
Okay.
Ultimately in leading towards Madhurya. That's the ultimate goal. So he's teaching us that we have to become servant of the servant of, that's our position. Servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. We are not the masters, we are the ones who serve everybody else, who serves all the way up to Krishna.
Okay, the service, the Dasya mood is what one has to cultivate while practicing Krishna consciousness?
Yes. To reach the Madhurya.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Guru. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. And even in Madhurya, everybody is Dasa and Dasa. That's why everybody is subservient to those who are subservient to Krishna. Okay, so then we'll stop here. Almost 9. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Vishnu Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.